love all the buzzwords WWE has decided to use when it comes to this bloodline stuff. Because SmackDown started and we saw Jey Uso walking backstage and everyone was just like, oh my gosh, Jey Uso is on the warpath. We also talked about battle lines and also, look at this, Jey Uso as our main event player on Friday nights. Makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Also, hello my friends and welcome to Ups and Downs, the show where we do review wrestling. And here's what has just happened. Let's go through it. We had a wrestling show, I watched it, and now I'm gonna give you my opinion. Oh my gosh, everyone's gonna go crazy. Let's up those downs. Right after all of this too, out came Bianca Belair because she does have a title match later, and she wanted to talk about it. Good for her. She mentioned how many hoops she had to jump to just to get to this point, while wiggling her hair around, which always makes me feel a little bit upset. And just as she was getting all riled up, here came Charlotte Flair, which don't forget means Charlotte was backstage going, not yet, give it a second, I'll hit my music, I'll go now. This thing got so weird, because Flair was all like, oh, Bianca Belair, I do think you will win the championship. And Bianca Belair was like, oh, Charlotte Flair, you are the queen, and I'd love to give you a title shot. My hand went up like, excuse me, Asuka is the champion right now. Why are we treating her like a third wheel? They then also were both like, oh man, we should have a championship match at SummerSlam, and it would be fine if this was like a one-off, but we have been doing this to the Empress of Tomorrow ever since she did win that title. I'll be honest with you, I don't get it. Look at the shirt. This then all ended with them both shaking hands. And while it was going to kind of tie into what was going to go down in our main event, even WWE made this quite awkward because Charlotte Flair went to leave and nobody hit play on her music. I have no idea what was going on. Now look, I do enjoy the fact that we kick things off with this because they are top tier talent and they should be put in this position, but I just don't get this storyline. And again, some of this was a little bit uncomfortable to watch. I don't know why. It just didn't flow well at all. It is so damn confusing. I've got no choice. It's not working for me. It's a down. However, I did spy out into the crowd during this segment, and what did I see? Simon, give me an up. So once again, you made me feel all good in my damn Tootsie Toes, and of course you do get an up. I'm gonna repeat myself as always, but it's important to say you're all very lovely people, and now I get to smile for at least 72 hours. That's how good it makes me feel. We were then with the Brawling Brutes backstage, and they have quite a busy evening, because not only is Butch going to be the #1 contender 4-way match for the US Championship, but Ridge Holland and Sheamus were about to take on Pretty Deadly. And when we talked to Ridge, he said, yeah, we're gonna eat them alive. So I thought about this, and if you did utter it in the real world, well, bring it down. There it is, the crime counter, and it goes up to 11. Again, outside of the wrestling bubble, this would make you a cannibal. But it did bring us to this tag match, the Brawling Brutes taking on Pretty Deadly, with the risk that maybe somebody was gonna be eaten. What a stipulation. Prince and Wilson were basically terrified too, so Elton just ran to the outside. But this is when Sheamus was like, you do know I'm a brute, and you do know I enjoy to brawl, so he got him, and he whooped his ass. Ridge Holland then tagged in, so my anxiety went through the roof as I tried to figure out whether he had some cutlery or not. But actually, he just wanted to throw some people around as well. I mean, in many ways, this was big men slapping man meat. Eventually, Elton chop blocked him, because that's how you take down all big guys within the world of wrestling, when he turned and killed Wilson, and these guys went to town. Stanley Rich is too big, so he gave them both a double backdrop before he tagged in Sheamus, who was basically like, oh man, I'm gonna go Irish on your ass. Which he did, gave him the 10 beats. This is when we did cut to the commercial, but when we came back from the ad break, from nowhere, Pretty Deadly were just in control, so we have to figure it out for ourselves. So I'm going to assume, given the origins of their name, Elton Prince told Sheamus, oh man, can you believe it? Elton John just finished touring, and Sheamus was so surprised about this, they smacked him. The tag klaxon soon went off, and this is when Kit Wilson went flying into a knee by Sheamus, who once again was just running around the ring trying to kill everyone. I mean, this one back body drop he hit was ridiculous. He sent Wilson into space. When Holland tagged in, he was like, I know what I'll do, a German suplex. Guten Tag. He also hit a Fisherman Buster 4 or 2 when Sheamus was jumping off the top rope again. I was like, is there anything you don't want to do tonight? Although even with all of that, somehow Pretty Deadly wouldn't be denied. So they went to Tina the Turnbuckle, they undressed her, which is a terrible way to describe it, but they took off the padding, and then they ensured that Ridge Holland went neck first into the thing, because of course Austin Theory had hurt his neck. They hit the big leg drop, 1, 2, 3, and they got the win. I was like, man, ever since they've called up, their win-loss record is pretty good. So it does mean we can continue this feud, and I'm all good with that. It just works. Like I say, it's just so nice to see somebody transition to the main roster and actually be supported, giving it up. And then, given everything with Hollywood and the writers' strike right now, I think The Rock may be on WWE TV soon. I mean it. Because we do have SummerSlam just around the corner, and if you've been keeping an eye on social media, Dwayne Johnson and Grayson Waller got into it, and I was like, this sounds like something that's been approved. And then Grayson was here cutting a promo, and who did he go after? That's right, The Rock. Smiley Waller also mentioned all of his stuff with Edge. Right now, this guy's just on fire because he does have a program with everyone, and yes, he too is going to be in that #1 contender Fatal 4-Way later, and he's going to win. So as always, somebody is lying to us. Guess how he finished all this off as well? By saying, if you smell what Grayson Waller is cooking. So what I would do is I would book him in a segment at the hottest event of the summer, and out comes The Rock and he gives him a rock bottom. Trust me, even though it would be better if Grayson Waller was on top, he's still gonna get the rub. Watch this space. So to be honest with you, I'm just gonna give it up to Grayson, because here's another guy that has just come up from NXT and proven, yeah, I pretty should have been here a while ago. He's gonna be a big star. Up. We then had another awesome Bloodline video, which was mostly there to tell you that yes, Jimmy Uso is injured, when we got a Roman Reigns title update, 1,048 days. I'm pretty sure when this begun, I actually had hair. All this weirdness with Charlotte Flair then continued too. What is happening? She found Adam Pearce and she said, look, I feel very confident about everything going on with the Women's Championship, so I'm going to go home. I'm like, that's not how a job works. You can't just decide when to leave. You gotta wait till the end time. Bayley and Io Sky then turned up and they were like, oh man, we're gonna cash in the briefcase, which is when Charlotte returned and went, oh no, I heard that, so I'm going to stay. I fell down on the floor at this point. I was like, what was the point of doing any of it? I don't know. And then got even weirder too, because Bayley went to the ring and she beat Zelina Vega in 2 minutes. I've been pondering this for a while. I don't know why we did it. Even though she was going to win, Belle still jumped Vega during the entrance. And look, eventually Zelina was allowed to do a Meteora, but then they got back in the ring. Bayley hit the Rose Plant, 1, 2, 3. I was genuinely mystified. Now actually, when you do break it down, I presume you do need to give Bayley some wins, because she probably is going to feud with Io Sky soon. But why did we have to take Zelina Vega's momentum and just flush it down the toilet? It seems very counterproductive, to the point I gotta give it a down. Thankfully, we did get some story after this, because all of a sudden Shotzi appeared on the big screen, and do not forget a couple of weeks ago, what had Damage Control done to her? That's right, they'd cut her hair. Assholes. However, because they didn't finish the job, Shotzi was all like, oh man, you think I'm weird? You think I'm a bit crazy? Well, maybe I am. And she got some hair clippers, and she took off the rest of her hair. So I was like, you damn right, Shots. Welcome to the Ball Brotherhood. Let me make you some tea. Now, some people on the internet were all like, oh, why didn't we do a hair versus hair match? I can't believe we've done this. But as it turned out, the real reason is that Shotzi's sister is going through cancer. She's going through chemotherapy, so she did this in support of her sibling. So you can take wrestling and you can throw it to the left, because nothing is more important than real life. So I'm just saying, maybe the next time you do go off, just give it a few minutes, give it an hour, give it a day to see if there is a reason, because again, this is super duper important stuff. And also, while it doesn't tie into the story, it does make me go, well, that's Shotzi, what a lovely thing to do, and also all the best wishes to her family, and I am giving her an up. What a damn hero. We also made sure that Shotzi put the hair in her mouth so we could cut to Bayley going, oh man, maybe we shouldn't have done it. I do like that program. Hopefully we can do something with it, but again, does it actually matter in the grand scheme of things? Absolutely not. When it was time to be pumped, because it was Bloodline time, if you listened, you could actually hear the ratings increase. Began with Jey Uso, who was just treated like the biggest star ever here, because for a good minute or two, he just stood there as a crowd like, oh my gosh, it's Jey Uso. And as always, he just had so much pain and emotion on his face. Give him an Oscar. When he did talk as well, he tied it into the twin thing, when he was basically like, if Jimmy is sad, I'm sad. If Jimmy is happy, I'm happy. If Jimmy is having a pizza, I'm having a pizza. We are one, and he's not here right now. That makes me a very upset Alan. He was so mad he told Roman Reigns that he's going to disrespect him, and I think he also said he's going to spank Solo Sikoa. I was like, man, that would be a very different direction for this feud. Jey then said he was the real head of the table, which actually means quite a lot in this storyline, when of course, who came out? Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa. His nonsense this week is that Solo is the enforcer, but he's only there to enforce peace. And I tell you this, if you bought that one, come and find me. I have a great pyramid scheme to sell you. You also got to confirm that next week it is going to be Jay versus Roman as we come up with the rules of engagement. There's more buzzwords. I just think it's the best. There was more manipulation though, because at first Paul was all like, oh, listen to you. You're sounding more and more like a tribal chief. But ultimately, we don't think you have any self-awareness. And do you want to know why Jimmy Uso is in the hospital right now, the local medical facility? It's because of you, Jay. This is on your shoulders. And we continue all of this by saying that's why nobody's going to forgive you, including your own parents. So that hit home with me, and he made it very clear that I don't forgive you either, and neither does Roman Reigns. And then we gave the mic to Solo Sikoa, and even he was like, yeah, you did this. I was like, man, do we know about Jey Uso and his emotional breakdowns? You're gonna kill him. It was also the first tease that we're going to do this match down the line, so I was excited, and Jay did go absolutely bonkers, because he just started to kick ass using kicks that were most definitely super. It left Jay and Paul Heyman by themselves, and it finally looked like Uso was about to kick Heyman's ass. When Solo must have taken a Phoenix down, he was back, but then Jay got rid of him, and you know what he did? He took his foot and he whammed Paul right in the face, and I tell you, every single person watching probably went, he definitely deserved it. Jay then flew out of the ring and he nailed Solo with a dive, and he had a chair, so he was going to kill Paul Heyman, but this was when Sikoa was back again. But you can't stop Jey Uso right now. He has too much momentum. So once again, he whipped his brother's ass. This was great. Eventually, Sikoa just grabbed Paul and they kind of scarpered to the back, but once again, it just made Jay come across like such a super duper star. Look at me. I'm desperate for him to be successful. Now, I do not think he's going to win at SummerSlam for many reasons that we'll talk about on a different video, but what we are doing is we're just elevating him higher and higher and higher. And a couple of years ago, I don't think anybody had on that on their bingo card. It's why this whole angle has been so damn good. You need to go and watch it. It's getting it up. When it was time for this 4-way US title match that we've been talking about, and basically we did this, and the winner is going to go on to next week to face the winner of the other 4-way, and whoever wins that will take on Austin Theory at the hottest event of the summer. I was pretty pumped as well because it was AJ Styles versus Santos Escobar versus Butch versus Grayson Waller, and Austin came out to do commentary. And I don't know what is going on with this guy, but Michael Cole proceeded to just wreck him for 10 minutes. I mean, he did a number on him. Waller really was the MVP of the thing because he would wallop someone, get out of the ring, and then sneak back in when he thought he had the advantage. And I was kind of surprised that he didn't get the victory. Even more surprised because he took the pin. You know how WWE works, though. I think they have big plans for him. Watch this space. We then got sequences between Styles and Escobar as well as Styles and Butch, and surprise, surprise, it was just so damn good. This is when Grayson got back in there. I was like, haha, surprise. Just took some cheap shots. There's also this great bit where Santos broke it up because he came in with a dive. And eventually, Butch got sick of Waller. He was like, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit you with a German suplex. Geschwister. We then got that sequence where it's like, well, you hit me, so I'll hit him, so everybody is down. And I think the real beauty of this match is that I didn't actually know who was going to win. That is the secret sauce when it comes to a wrestling match. The absolute highlight was when they were all stacked up in the corner and Santos hit this, I don't know, sunset flip powerbomb thingamajig, which was absolutely wild. And eventually, AJ Styles was about to hit the Styles Clash, so he had the thing won, when Karrion Kross just appeared on the big screen. Now look, admittedly, he was building up the OC, who are AJ's best friends, but he just froze, because no wrestler can handle this, and he ran off. And I was like, look, they are professional wrestlers. They are grown adults. You probably could have won the match, Styles. And they got to assist them, but no, he must do it now. It did allow Grayson to take advantage because he did his rolling stunner back into the ring and he hit Butch, but when he was laying on his back, Santos Escobar came in with the big splash and he got the 1-2-3. So he kind of surprised him, I suppose. This was a great match. I also think this was the right person to get the victory because Santos Escobar will benefit the most from everybody else in the thing. But yeah, if you have 12 to 15 minutes today, I would advise you do sit down and see it. It's getting it up. Now look, we did cut to AJ Styles after this, who was talking to his buddies and was like, man, I don't think this feud with Karrion Kross is over. And I was like, well, it could have been AJ. You could have just ignored him. I mean, we were taught that when we were kids. I do feel like this was just a segue so we could cut to what was going to happen next, though. Because my word. Because finally the Street Profits were back on SmackDown and they were waiting for somebody to turn up who did in a limousine. And if you can believe it, it was Bobby Lashley. I was like, oh, well, thank goodness for that. He's been away so long, I thought he was dead. More interestingly though, Ford and Dawkins got into this car and they just drove off. So I started to get excited. I'm like, one, are they going to be a new faction? And two, could they be the new Hurt Business? But we should absolutely capitalize on this. There is money to be made. We then also learned the competitors for the next Fatal 4-Way match for the US title #1 contendership, because we had backstage promos with Rey Mysterio, Cameron Grimes, and Sheamus. And do you know who the fourth guy is? It's LA Knight. And do you know what WWE did? They sent him out there in front of the live crowd. This was the right thing to do. Everybody went bonkers as they always do, and it actually has become a reason to watch the show just to see what kind of reaction he's going to get. And he was all like, yeah, I'm the best decision WWE has ever made, and one way or another, I am going to become a champion. And seriously, if he doesn't do this at SummerSlam, we have to ask the question, what the flub are we doing? I mean, it's got to the point now where it doesn't actually matter what he says. He could come out and go, man, I'm going to play with Tonka toys, let me talk to you. So let him just be successful next week and do what we have to do. Like, everybody loves him. Even with all these criticism online, which he did address, nobody flubbing cares. This is the greatest thing about wrestling, when somebody organically gets over to the point I'm giving it an up. It's just a pleasure to see. And then, yeah, we got to our main event for the Women's Championship, Bianca Belair versus Asuka. And of course, it ended in the weirdest disqualification ever. This one is totally lost on me. It's mostly because all of these matches now are ending this way, so what do we get? The law of diminishing returns. And the truly surreal bit is that Io Sky and Bayley walked out wiggling some tickets in the air because they were going to sit at ringside, when 5 minutes later Charlotte Flair did the same thing. I'm like, why are you wiggling tickets in the air? No human being has ever done this. And if you did do it, if you walked into SmackDown going, oh, I've got a ticket, everybody else would hate you. Now, of course, we are building up to the 3-way at SummerSlam, but it just feels like such a massive FU. And look, I want to make it very clear. When we did let Bianca and Asuka wrestle, they were so damn good because they have such good chemistry. But once again, it was basically an afterthought. There was this really good bit where they did like a reverse duck move into a spine buster. But this is when Bayley and Io Sky just got over Barry Barricade and nobody cared. So Charlotte was like, well, if they're going to do it, I want to do it too. A big brawl broke out, and when Flair went to spear Io, Sky got out the way, she hit Bianca Belair, the ref went, well, you're not allowed to do that, DQ. So of course we asked the big question, oh, did she do that on purpose? And maybe that was the point of the opening segment, to prove that Charlotte was disingenuous, and then we had a Money in the Bank cash in. When we remembered that Asuka is involved in this, she spat the mist right into Bayley's face, and she just ran off. It's like, Asuka wouldn't run off, she would kill everyone. All the other women just looked confused after this had happened as well. And look, if we do get to SummerSlam and we do the triple threat, it will be so good. Because everybody here is like a super duper good wrestler, but the story, it just doesn't make any sense. I still can't get over the fact that Asuka feels like player 4 in all of this, and she is the champion. But look, I am going to give it an up for the wrestling, because like I say, they know what they're doing. The rest just doesn't work for me, so it's getting a down. And never forget, if you're like Simon, you're an idiot. I think this is the best thing ever. Do you know how great that is? That's the greatest thing ever. Because when you sit down to watch wrestling, you're meant to enjoy it. I want you to be happy, because I'm not an insane person. Which brought us to the end of SmackDown, and I will say this probably wasn't as good as some of the ones we've had over the last few weeks, but there was still plenty to entertain me. That's why I'm giving it an up. I'm very excited about LA Knight. Now, please do go into the comments and let me know what a moron I am by telling me what you thought about SmackDown. And look, ups and downs for Raw is on the screen, so you should give it a click and get my thoughts about that. And you can like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then please do head over to whatculture.com to keep up to date with all the wrestling news. And we're on all social media too. Simon316 and What Culture WWE. But mostly it is the weekend. Go out there and have the best time of your life. Embrace the day, and I'll see you soon.